traded Euro USD in that specific clip that netted me $1,000. I did that the day prior as well on Pound US Dollar, which also netted me $1,000. Therefore, making $2,000 in 2 days on live. Live is not something you can fake. If a trader can go live and actually execute positions, wins or losses, and document their entire process of taking the trade, managing the trade, the psychology behind the trade, they are a real trader and you can't hide behind it. Now I'm going to break down both these trades that I caught in the week, Tuesday and Wednesday for you guys, so you can see exactly why I took these positions. I won't get into the bias, we'll jump straight into the 1 hour time frame and I'll mark exactly what I was seeing at the present time when everyone in the live again was making me doubt myself, question myself, double think by saying the bias was wrong and saying I was entering in the wrong direction. But obviously my 6 years market experience didn't listen to them, and then you saw how the trade went. The low of New York session in here the day prior to the high of Asia session, that is our move. That is our trading range. If I mark that out from the low to the high, that is the 1 hour trading range we are operating between. We want to sell in premium levels and we want to buy in premium levels. Therefore, up in here is at the top of the move. Therefore, we want to look to sell. Simple as that. We don't overcomplicate our trading. Where would we sell back into for the rebalance? Easy. Targets, New York highs. Okay, you're targeting session highs, session lows. That is liquidity. We're going to target, right, New York highs, which also lines up. Sitting above it is a nice resting fair value gap sitting in here. So therefore, there's a key area and we've identified our target right away. We understand we're in a rebalancing phase of the market and we understand that we are looking to sell into premium levels. So then maybe we can look to buy again or continue selling off if this area doesn't hold. So now we understand our targets, where we're looking to trade into. We just need to find our specific entry. Now for this, I actually used the 1 hour time frame to identify a key POI. Now, if I zoom in to identify my key POI, it lines up with, yes, you guessed it, a session low. Okay, again, I like to utilize sessions very much in my trading. Session low, i.e. Asia low, is where we first made that expansion down, coming out into London session. Now we officially entered London session. Guess what? Session low lines up with a nice fair value gap. This is using my 222 model, and I'll explain exactly what that is once I enter the position. But after this, it's a simple case of scaling down the time frames. We'll go to the 15-minute time frame now, and you can see we're building up volume before our POI. We've slowed down, and now we're building up, right, liquidity to go ahead and grab before tapping into our POI, which is this range in here. This is our trading range, and this is exactly what I'm going to be looking to get swept before we actually go ahead and sell off. So I was telling everyone at this moment in time in the live, I don't want to see us come down and sweep the lows before we come up into our POI. I want to see us run the highs first, tap into our POI, and then that will give me confirmation that we are actually indeed selling off. And therefore I can put my entry position at the 50%. I can put my stop loss, which was about 7.5 pips, I believe, or something like that, resting just above these highs because you can see they're relatively equal highs. So price can absolutely come up to run them first before ever going to our direction, our TP. So my TP, my stop loss was set just above the highs. My TP was for a 1 to 2 risk to reward, which yes, it's probably the low, usually the low because it's a measured move. So we're trying to catch the next lower high to then continue selling off down into New York high, right, POI. Now the reason I trade 2 risk to reward and I'm not actually targeting my lower levels where I think price is going to retrace into, being New York high, right, is because I trade a simple 222 system, which is risking 2% for a 2 risk to reward. Every trade I win is 4%, every trade I lose is 2%. My students follow that exact same protocol for consistency in the market. Too many traders nowadays try to overmanage their positions, try to squeeze too much out of the market by narrowing their stop loss too tight, therefore getting stopped out before the move actually happens. And it just causes for a psychological mess on the charts. All you need is clean price action, clean trades, and consistent 1 to 2 risk to rewards to be profitable. So this is exactly what we was looking at. A 1 hour POI, we've created a little bit of liquidity leading into our POI, i.e. this high, i.e. this high in here as well from London high already that got made. And then all we're looking for is that sweep into our POI to then actually sell off, which is exactly what we got. Let me play price out, boom. Now this is where every single trader, this was the first trade of the week on Tuesday. Every single trader in my live was doubting me. Every single trader in my live was saying I was wrong, saying the position was a rubbish shit position, saying that, you know, I'm gonna get stopped out. Lo and behold, I sat on live for about an hour and a half waiting for this to actually finally go in my favor. My psychology was on point. I didn't manage the position. I didn't close early when it retested break even multiple times. I let it float in drawdown for a good few hours. You can see it came up again, very close to stopping me out. At this point, you know, I was fairly confident that we were going to see that rollover we were expecting. Like I said, guys, I am very intuition based when it comes to trading because of my 6 years market experience. I knew that based on that high, we could potentially run, therefore increase my stop loss and not have it resting just above that high. I had it a couple pips room to breathe, so then I could account for if price did want to do something stupid like this and run the high before actually rolling over. And it did. That wasn't by coincidence, that wasn't by accident. I didn't randomly guess to put my stop loss there. I did that based on knowing exactly market behavior. And then after, I was just waiting for us to come and roll over, which we did exactly to the T. Yes, we bounced back straight away, but you know, if I am right, I believe we continued folding into New York session, boom. And then we retested exactly the level we anticipated on the 1 hour time frame. You can see that beautiful, beautiful trade in there. And this was caught on Tuesday on live. Again, while many haters were doubting me and many haters were saying this isn't a good setup. We netted a 1 to 2. A lot of people were saying they were even in buys from a 1 minute ICT setup that they all are taking at the moment. And I see it happen so many times, traders executing these 1 minute positions that just don't serve them because they don't understand overall market direction, market behavior, and where session to session is going. And I knew exactly that, therefore I capitalized on it. We're moving on to EU and I'll show you the breakdown behind EU. Bear in mind, guys, this isn't the higher time frame bias. This is strictly based on my lower time frame entry protocol. Now, this is our second trade from the clip that you saw in the first video. Now, this is exactly based on number 1, market structure, number 2, manipulation, and again, understanding where session to session price is going, and a lot to do with higher time frame bias as well. So you can see here, right, that we've started to create a complex pullback. We're creating, you know, this price action in here. High, low, lower high, lower low. That's exactly what we're seeing. Therefore, I was just expecting price to create what's called another lower high before rolling over to making a new lower low. Now, right, at this point in time, I was seeing what was called a sweep of this in here, which is a sweep of that high at 1.4300. Again, this is the hourly time frame. I won't get into the higher time frame for this, but we're looking at selling. Again, we've identified what direction are we looking to trade into. We're at premium levels from this whole move from New York high to Asia low. We're in our premium sell positions from this 1 hour. Therefore, we're looking at sells, not buys. If we was down in here and we was maybe operating it in this region, down in these levels, maybe I would be looking for buys. But because we're up here in the 1 hour move, I'm looking at sells. Now, this is going to be based on more of a lower time frame entry protocol, not the 15-minute or hour POI. It's based on an hour sweep of a high. Therefore, we've got our liquidity sweep, which is one of our entry confirmation checklist protocols. Next, we were looking at dropping down the time frames and looking specifically where we could find our entry. Now, I'm a big advocate of trading from the 5-minute time frame and above. I don't really go to the 1 minute, but I believe on this specific setup, it was based on a 1 minute entry, which it was. So after we swept that high in here, I could quite evidently see us start to create this bearish order flow on the lower time frame. So this is the 1 minute time frame. You've got the high made in here, then you've got a lower high, right? Lower low, lower high again. failed to create a lower low, but we built up some liquidity. We then broke through with a strong break and a strong insertion of sells. All right, strong sellers came into the market to make the market move quite aggressively with these 3 big bearish candles. And therefore I knew, all right, based on where we were at, price was coming lower into London lows. Therefore, easy setup for me just to go ahead and find my entry, which was at this 1 minute fair value gap. Now, this 1 minute fair value gap was exactly where I took the trade from. I believe I placed my short position at the 50%. And with target, again, I had it resting just up. I believe it was above the London highs of the sweep, around 5 pips. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd have to go back and check the screenshot. But it was trading, again, what does it always do? It always lines up beautifully 1 to 2 risk to rewards. They always line up beautifully with structure. If you're looking at selling in the right times and selling in the right areas, you will line up your 1 to 2s with perfect market structure and perfect areas to target. So therefore, we was literally targeting London lows in here. You can see that's marked out, 1 to 2 risk to reward. It was around a 5 pip or something stop loss, and boom, you can see us come into our entry, then absolutely tank. You can see we absolutely tanked on Euro. Now, big up Trump for this one, and also big up the war in Iran. Well, I say the war in Iran, don't big up, don't condone it, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're either one of 2 people. A victim who cries about what's happening in the world, or someone who actually uses what they have, which is their power to take control of a certain situation to benefit them. Now, it sounds, sad to say, but everyone's got to capitalize on opportunity. And here, I didn't even know news was coming out at this point. Trump was speaking. There was something about a break of a ceasefire. And my entry, by the way, news is an excuse. This wasn't the reason behind why we won. But at the same time, it was the reason behind why the market absolutely tanked like this in our direction. We had the direction right, and the news just verified that and led it to hitting our TP very, very quickly. Now, this was the beautiful setup that came through on live. Honestly, unreal setup. I believe it was this, by the way. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be something different. I might have had a larger stop loss and then a larger TP on this specific setup. Maybe even down into Asia lows. I think it was even, I think it was maybe even a bit larger. I think it was maybe like a 7 pip stop loss or something like that, and then targeting a bit further down, something like this. But either way, that was the position, that was the entry. We absolutely folded, and it was a beautiful setup, back to back on live, netting me a total of 2,000. They were the only positions I placed on live this week, and they're the only positions that I traded this week. I also tell people all the time on live that I take about 2 to 3 positions a week on Euro and Pound, which is the pairs I trade. I have a scalping account separate for gold. So if you're interested in my scalping strategy and what I do for that, drop me a message or drop me a comment in the comment section and let me know what you want to see next. And if you want me to go into a more detailed breakdown on exactly what my entry protocols are, what my higher time frame bias is and where I get my direction from, etc. And I'll do that for you guys. Drop a like, drop a sub, and I'll see you in the next video.